And now when I wake up Sunday or Saturday, I'm not going to have this anymore.
Amy Slaton never imagined her life already lived partly under the harsh glare of reality. TV would spiral into such devastating heartbreak. For years, viewers of 1000 Delby Sisters laughed and cried with her. Watching her lose weight, fall in love, and build the family she had always dreamed of. But behind those moments of laughter and triumph was another story, one the cameras captured but TLC refused to show. A scene so raw, so painfully human, that producers decided it could never air. It began in early March 2024. In Amy's quiet Kentucky home, a house once filled with the laughter of her two little boys, Gage and Glenn. That morning, Amy sat on her couch, wrapped in a gray hoodie, clutching a letter that would change everything. The paper was a legal notice. Her ex-husband, Michael Halterman, had filed for temporary custody of their children. To Amy, it wasn't just a legal document. It was the moment her world shattered. Crew members from TLC were there that day, preparing to film what was meant to be a cheerful day in the life segment. But instead of capturing laughter, they found themselves witnessing a mother's breakdown. She was sitting on the couch staring at the floor, said one production assistant. And then she just broke. She held a picture of her boys and whispered, "Without them, I'm nothing." You could feel the pain in the air. What followed was raw and chaotic. Amy began to sob uncontrollably, her voice trembling as she cried, "If I lose them, I don't want this show. I just want my babies." Producers stood frozen. One crew member walked outside in tears, unable to watch. Another turned off the main light and whispered, "Cut the cameras." But not before the lenses caught Amy's shaking hands and broken voice, the sound of a mother losing everything. That footage would never air. TLC executives later reviewed it and made the call. It was too real, too painful, and too personal. One editor later said it wasn't reality TV anymore, it was a person's soul breaking. To understand how Amy reached that point, we have to look back long before the court papers, before the show, before fame. Amy Slaton always dreamed of love and family. After years of struggling with obesity and insecurity, she thought she'd found both when she married Michael Halterman, a quiet man from her hometown. Fans celebrated her happiness when she gave birth to Gage and later, baby Glenn. But behind the smiles, cracks began to form. By early 2023, Amy's marriage was falling apart. Friends said she felt trapped, emotionally neglected, and constantly criticized. On screen, she smiled through the pain, but off camera, she was battling postpartum depression after Glenn's birth. The pressure of raising two toddlers while filming a hit TV show left her emotionally drained. Amy was fragile, one insider recalled. She was trying to keep it together for her boys, but she was exhausted. Every day was a fight to smile. Then, in March 2023, came the custody papers. Michael's lawyers described Amy as unstable, claiming her depression and filming schedule made her unfit for consistent parenting. The allegations crushed her. She believed motherhood was the one thing no one could take from her, said a family friend. When she read those papers, it broke something inside her. On the day she received the notice, TLC cameras were already rolling. They had planned to film Amy cooking and playing with her sons, but instead, they captured her crumbling. Crew members described the sound of her sobs echoing through the house raw, uncontrollable, the kind of grief that freezes everyone in the room. Amy's voice cracked as she repeated through tears, "I can't lose them. They're all I have." Eventually, one crew member turned off the cameras and told everyone to step outside. For several minutes, the house was silent except for Amy's muffled crying. When the footage reached TLC headquarters, editors were divided. Some felt it should air, that it was real and powerful. Others argued it would be cruel. In the end, the executives agreed it was too painful, even for reality TV. The clip was permanently removed from season 8. It didn't feel like television anymore. One producer admitted, "It felt like watching a breakdown we shouldn't have filmed." A few days later, during a therapy session filmed for reference, Amy confessed how deeply the experience had scarred her. "They think I'm weak because I cry," she whispered. But my babies only have me. When I'm not with them, Gage asks where I am, and I lie. I tell him I'm fine, but I'm not. Her therapist reminded her she was stronger than she realized. But Amy wasn't convinced. She felt betrayed not just by Michael, but by the show that had once been her lifeline. They kept filming while I broke down, she said in a leaked audio clip. I told them I couldn't do it anymore, but they wouldn't stop. Family doesn't do that. As the legal battle intensified, Amy began to distance herself from TLC. She demanded fewer filming hours and refused to discuss the custody case on camera. Insiders revealed that the network didn't know how to respond. She was their star, but she was also a mother in pain, said one crew member. They didn't know how to handle it. Fans soon noticed Amy's disappearance from social media. Posts slowed to a trickle, captions turned somber, and photos of her kids stopped entirely. Rumors began swirling online, whispers of breakdowns, court battles, and hospital visits. Through it all, Amy stayed silent, unable to speak publicly due to legal restrictions. When she finally returned to filming months later, Amy looked calmer, but different. Her trademark spark had dimmed. TLC quietly avoided mentioning the custody issue, focusing instead on her new beginnings, scenes of her painting, going out with friends, and spending time with Tammy. But behind that gentle narrative, Amy was still struggling to heal. According to court documents later obtained by insiders, Amy and Michael reached a temporary custody arrangement. It wasn't full custody, but it allowed her to see her boys regularly. It gave her a sliver of hope, something to hold on to as she rebuilt her life. Friends said she was determined to become stronger, both for herself and for her children. Amy Slaton, who had recently survived her own health crisis, became Amy's biggest support. Tammy told her, "You're stronger than you think," said one family friend. Amy needed that. For once, Tammy was the strong one. The sisters, once torn apart by fame and fights, began healing together. By late 2024, whispers of the deleted footage began surfacing online. A post-production worker hinted that the unseen clips still existed. A haunting video of Amy's emotional collapse that would change how the world saw her. Fans were divided. Some believed TLC's decision to hide it proved how manipulative reality TV could be. Others defended the network, saying no one should have to relive their most broken moment on screen. Amy never directly addressed the rumors. In one of her rare Instagram lives, she told her fans softly, "Y'all know I love my babies. Everything I do is for them. Some things ain't meant for TV, and that's okay. I'm still healing." Her voice cracked, but there was something different in her eyes. Quiet resilience. Behind the scenes, Amy continued negotiating her boundaries with TLC. She requested privacy for her sons and more control over her scenes. The network, cautious of public backlash, agreed. Insiders claim the upcoming season will focus more on Amy's recovery and less on the chaos that once defined her. Still, for those who witnessed that deleted moment, it remains unforgettable. "I've been in TV for over 10 years, one editor reflected. I've seen fights, hospital scenes, tears, but never something like that. That was a mother's heart breaking. It didn't belong on TV. Amy Slaton's story has never been one of perfection. It's been about survival, through fame, heartbreak, and judgment. She's continued to rise, not because she's unbreakable, but because she refuses to stay broken. She may have lost control over what viewers see, but behind closed doors, she's quietly reclaiming her life. The unseen footage might never be shown, and maybe that's how it should be. But the truth behind it, the raw, unfiltered pain of a mother desperate not to lose her children, will always be part of who Amy is. Beyond the cameras and contracts, she isn't just a reality star. She's a mother, a fighter, and a woman learning how to stand again after the world watched her fall apart. And for millions who followed her journey, that unseen moment, though never aired, has become the most powerful scene of all.
The ideal Amanda had, because she doesn't want to be held accountable.
She does not have the mentality that you got to take the...
There are moments in reality television that stop feeling like entertainment and start feeling like pain. The kind of moments that make viewers question where storytelling ends and human suffering begins. For fans of One-Eyed OLB sisters, Amy Slaton's journey has always been about more than just weight loss. It was about a woman who wanted love, family, and a chance to be seen as more than her past. But what the cameras captured and what they chose not to show reveals a darker truth. A truth so raw that TLC reportedly locked it away, calling it too real for television. What really happened to Amy when the cameras stopped pretending her heartbreak was content? By early 2023, Amy's world had quietly begun to unravel. Her marriage to Michael Halterman was collapsing under arguments, resentment, and exhaustion. They had once been high school sweethearts, but the years of filming, public pressure, and constant scrutiny had taken their toll. Amy had just given birth to her second son, Glenn, and was struggling with postpartum depression while raising 2 toddlers. The cameras were still there, capturing her every laugh and tear, but the laughter had started to sound forced. What the audience saw was a smiling mother doing her best. What they didn't see was a woman silently breaking apart. Then came the letter that shattered everything. It arrived in March 2023, an official petition from the Kentucky Family Court. Michael had filed for temporary custody of their sons. Amy's hands trembled as she read it aloud, her voice cracking. The TLC crew, already setting up lights for a cheerful family segment, froze. They watched her drop to her knees, clutching a photo of her boys, sobbing uncontrollably. "Without them, I'm nothing," she cried. "I don't care about the show. I just want my babies." Her pain filled the room raw, unfiltered, and impossible to turn away from. For a moment, even the crew couldn't pretend this was television. One cameraman quietly removed his mic and left. Another shut off the lights. But before the cameras went dark, they captured something haunting: the sound of a mother's heart breaking in real time. Later, when producers reviewed the footage, they argued. Some believed it was the most honest moment ever filmed. Others said it crossed a line. It wasn't reality TV anymore, one editor whispered. It was a woman's soul being torn open. TLC executives decided to bury the footage. Officially, it would never air. Unofficially, it became legend, a hidden chapter of the show no one was meant to see. That decision didn't silence the moral conflict it caused. Amy had long complained that the network twisted her story, making her pain into memes and her vulnerability into jokes. "They laugh when I cry," she once confided to a friend. "They don't see that I'm actually hurting." But now the stakes were higher. This wasn't about editing or image. It was about her children. She felt trapped between 2 worlds, the one where she had to perform for cameras, and the one where she was just a mother fighting for her family. A few weeks later, in April 2023, a family judge ruled for joint custody but added a painful restriction. Amy wasn't allowed overnight stays until she completed co-parenting classes, weekly therapy, and home inspections. She could see her sons, but she couldn't tuck them in at night. The same month, TLC reminded her of her contractual obligations. She had to keep filming or risk breach of contract. "If I don't film, I don't eat," she reportedly told her lawyer during a recorded call that was never aired. "But if I do film, I might lose them. What kind of choice is that?" Her voice trembled, not out of anger, but exhaustion. The show that had given her fame was now threatening the only thing she truly loved. By summer, the tension reached its peak. In a late-night TikTok live, Amy finally broke. With tears streaming down her face, she told fans, "You have no idea what it's like to be filmed while your world is falling apart. I'm dying inside, but I smile for the camera. When my babies aren't home, I cry every night." Within hours, the video disappeared. But not before fans clipped and shared it, flooding comment sections with messages of concern. For the first time, Amy wasn't just a reality TV personality. She was a woman pleading to be seen as human. Her sister Tammy, who had her own share of battles, couldn't stay silent anymore. On set one day, Tammy snapped at the producers. "Y'all ain't showing what she's really going through," she shouted. "You're hiding it." Witnesses say she refused to film for several days afterward, a rare moment of defiance in the show's history. "She's trying to be a good mom, and you treat her like a freak show," she reportedly told the crew. Their brother Chris Combs joined her. "This ain't right," he said. "She's not a circus act." She's our sister and she's in pain. For once, the fractured Slaton family was united, not for a storyline, but for Amy. Behind the scenes, tensions boiled. Some producers wanted to halt filming temporarily. Others insisted the show must go on. TLC compromised. They reduced Amy's filming schedule and promised to prioritize her well-being. But the damage was done. For months, Amy lived under the weight of therapy sessions, court check-ins, and constant anxiety. Yet she kept pushing forward. Slowly, through counseling and compliance with every court order, her situation improved. She passed home inspections. She completed therapy. By late 2023, the court reinstated partial overnight visits. And in spring 2024, Amy finally regained full joint custody. On paper, she had one. In reality, the scars were still fresh. After the ruling, Amy stepped back from the spotlight. Her Instagram, once filled with colorful updates and baby milestones, grew silent. When she did post, her captions were short. "My whole world," or "I'm trying, y'all." Gone were the hashtags, the smiles, the energy. She seemed like someone learning how to breathe again after nearly drowning. At a small fan meet and greet that summer, Amy reportedly told one supporter, "I went through hell to be with my kids. I'll never go back to that courtroom again." Her eyes welled up as she whispered, "They almost took everything." But even as she retreated, the whispers grew louder. Fans began asking about the missing footage. The breakdown TLC never aired. Posts on Reddit and Facebook spread theories demanding transparency. Why hide the most honest moment of the series? In June 2024, a change. Org petition titled "Let Amy Speak, Release the Footage" surfaced. Within weeks, more than 20,000 people signed. The message was clear. Fans didn't want drama. They wanted truth. "We don't want it for shock value," the petition read. "We want it because Amy deserves to be heard." TLC stayed silent. Publicly, they claimed to protect Amy's privacy. Privately, insiders admitted there was division within the company. That scene could have won an Emmy. One producer said anonymously, "It was raw, emotional, unforgettable." But airing it felt wrong. It wasn't a storyline. It was suffering. Still, maybe one day Amy will want people to see it, not because it's dramatic, but because it's hers. For now, that footage remains hidden, a ghost locked in the network's archives. But its presence still lingers, haunting every rerun and every episode. It represents something the audience was never meant to see. The moment when entertainment met real human pain. Amy's breakdown wasn't an act. It was the collapse of a woman who had spent years performing strength until she couldn't anymore. She didn't cry for ratings or sympathy. She cried because she feared she might never again hear her son say, "I love you," before bed. She cried because motherhood and fame had become a war she never wanted to fight. Reality TV often promises authenticity, but Amy's story revealed the price of it. Behind every real moment is a person holding their life together while strangers decide what parts are worth showing. Amy reached her breaking point on that cold Kentucky afternoon. And though the footage may never air, its truth echoes louder than anything TLC could script. Sometimes strength doesn't look like a smile for the camera. Sometimes it looks like breaking down and finding the courage to rebuild. By late 2024, Amy was rebuilding quietly. She films occasionally, mostly lighthearted moments with her family, but nothing like before. She's focused on raising Gage and Glenn, choosing peace over publicity. Friends say she's calmer now, more guarded but more grounded. She doesn't need the world to see her pain anymore, one insider said. She's finally learning how to live without performing. Maybe that's why the unseen footage matters, not because it should be released, but because it reminds us that behind every viral clip is a person with a story we'll never fully understand. Amy Slaton's breakdown was never about television. It was about survival, motherhood, and love, about a woman forced to choose between the camera and her children, and deciding that no paycheck was worth losing them. Her journey is still unfolding, but one truth remains. Amy Slaton is not just a reality TV figure. She is a survivor of her own story, a woman who faced losing everything and found strength in the quiet moments when no one was watching. Because in the end, her tears weren't for the show. They were for her sons, her family, and the hope that someday people would see her not as a spectacle, but as a mother who fought her way back from the edge, not for fame, but for love. From heartbreak to healing, Amy Slaton's journey has always been about more than weight loss. It's about survival, motherhood, and rediscovering herself once the cameras stopped rolling, when the lights dimmed, the microphones turned off, and the only sound left was her determination to rise again. For longtime fans, one truth remains. Amy isn't just a reality TV personality. She's a survivor, a fighter, a mother, and a woman who kept standing even when the world seemed eager to watch her fall. After her painful divorce from Michael Halterman, Amy spent years quietly rebuilding her life. What began as a marriage filled with laughter and shared dreams had unraveled under the pressures of fame, motherhood, and public scrutiny. When it ended, she was left to pick up the pieces, not just for herself, but for her two young sons. In the months that followed, Amy faced depression, custody battles, and relentless judgment online. Every move she made, every tear she shed became public conversation. Yet through that heartbreak, she uncovered something she hadn't felt in a long time: strength. She found her footing not by hiding from her past, but by embracing it. Out of loss came a more grounded, self-aware woman. No longer the funny sister on a TLC show. She was now a mother protecting her peace, learning that true healing doesn't happen under studio lights, but in quiet, unseen moments. Then, unexpectedly, she found something she thought she'd lost forever: love. That love arrived in the form of BrianLevern.com, patient and genuine. Their connection began as friendship and slowly deepened. There was no spotlight, no pressure, just two people rediscovering joy. By the time One Non One Most Sisters entered its 7th season, fans noticed a change. Amy smiled more. Her laughter came from a place of peace. She carried herself differently, softer yet stronger. Just 4 months into their relationship, Brian proposed, and Amy said yes. For some, it seemed fast. For Amy, it was right. After years of uncertainty, she'd found someone who made her feel safe. She shared the news online with her trademark humor, introducing fans to their quirky household, including a pet snake that quickly became a fan favorite. The pair planned a Halloween-themed wedding filled with gothic decor, costumes, and laughter. For Amy, it symbolized more than romance. It was a declaration of rebirth, a woman reclaiming her story on her own terms. But not everyone approved. Some members of the Slaton family voiced concern that she was moving too quickly. They feared her desire for stability might cloud her judgment. Rumors even circulated that certain relatives would skip the ceremony. Yet Amy stood firm. "I've spent my whole life worrying about what everyone else wants," she told producers. "Now I'm doing something for me." Despite whispers and criticism, Amy and Brian's bond grew stronger. They reached their 1st anniversary, celebrating with a simple post from Discovery Park of America. "Happy 1-year anniversary, baby. Here's to forever." It wasn't glamorous, it was real. And it quietly declared that she'd found peace at last. That milestone carried deep meaning. For Amy, it wasn't just a celebration of love. It was proof that she could rebuild, trust, and love again after being broken in front of millions. Critics who once questioned Brian's motives had little left to say. A year together spoke louder than words. Friends described Brian as her calm in the storm. "She laughs more now," one said. "She feels safe. She's finally living, not just surviving." Of course, the internet had opinions. Some fans wondered if Amy was moving too fast. Others cheered her on, believing she'd earned the right to happiness. But for the first time, Amy didn't care what the world thought. Her choices now came from her heart, not public expectation. While Amy's personal life flourished, her career faced uncertainty. Rumors began swirling that 1000 Del-B Sisters would be canceled after season 7. Forums buzzed. Had the show run its course now that both sisters had achieved their weight loss goals? Some said the tension was gone. Others argued the show had matured into something deeper, a portrait of family, faith, and transformation. The speculation intensified when Tammy Slaton liked several fan posts hinting at cancellation. Panic spread until Tammy herself set the record straight. Replying to a fan online, she wrote, "No, they haven't canceled it. We're working on season 8. Her comment went viral. "I don't know why people keep posting fake news about us," she added. "We're not going anywhere." The reassurance reignited excitement across the fandom. The Slaton story wasn't over, it was entering a new era. According to insiders, season 8 will shift focus from physical transformation to emotional recovery. Both sisters stand at pivotal crossroads. Amy, as a mother and fiancé learning balance after heartbreak. Tammy, as a woman redefining herself after a life-altering weight loss journey. By the end of season 7, their arcs felt complete. Tammy's skin removal surgery marked the final step in her transformation. Amy's engagement hinted at a new beginning, and their brother Chris Combs had achieved his own health goals. But Tammy's confirmation made one thing clear: the story isn't ending, it's evolving. At its core, 1000 Delby Sisters has always been about more than the scale. It's about what happens after transformation, the emotions, the relationships, the struggle to maintain progress once the spotlight fades. For Amy, season 8 promises to be her most personal yet. Cameras will follow her wedding planning, her growing bond with Brian, and the daily challenges of motherhood under fame's shadow. Yet this time, she isn't performing. She's allowing her truth, messy, tender, and real, to take center stage. Some insiders say old family tensions may return as Amy's life evolves. Fame has often magnified minor misunderstandings into full-blown conflicts. But Amy now chooses peace over drama, progress over perfection. Meanwhile, Tammy's transformation continues to inspire millions. Once known for hospital stays and health scares, she's now thriving, independent, confident, and unrecognizable from the woman viewers first met. Fans who watched her nearly lose her life are now watching her rebuild it. Together, Amy and Tammy showcase two sides of change, one physical, one emotional, and both still unfolding. Tammy's assurance that the series continues brought relief to a fandom not ready to say goodbye. For many, 1000 V Sisters is more than another TLC reality show. It's a reflection of real life. It's chaotic, raw, and unpredictable, but also full of humor, hope, and heart. Even as the show's tone softens, its emotional power endures. Viewers no longer watch just for dramatic confrontations or diet updates. They watch for the human moments: Amy playing with her kids, Tammy smiling in the mirror, Chris cracking jokes at family barbecues. These scenes remind audiences that healing isn't cinematic, it's authentic. Looking ahead, season 8 aims to capture that authenticity. If schedules hold, new episodes will air in 2025, revealing a more grounded Slaton family. Amy's Halloween wedding will likely be a standout episode filled with laughter, heartfelt vows, and a few emotional tears. For Amy, it will mark a full-circle moment. The woman who once cried through heartbreak, now walking confidently toward joy, hand in hand with the man who helped her believe in love again. Critics may keep questioning her pace, but Amy's story has never been about pleasing others. It's about peace. Her one-year anniversary post wasn't for likes. It was a quiet testament that healing is real. After enduring depression, divorce, and relentless judgment, Amy Slaton has reclaimed her strength. She's discovered that life after pain can still be beautiful, that love can thrive away from cameras in chaos. 1996 B Sisters began as a simple reality show about two women trying to lose weight. But over time, it evolved into something far more profound. A story of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of starting again. Through every heartbreak, triumph, and tear, Amy and Tammy have proven that transformation isn't just physical. It's emotional, spiritual, and lifelong. Whether or not the cameras keep rolling, Amy Slaton's story continues, not as a struggling star, but as a woman who learned to rebuild, to love, and to live freely again. She's not just surviving anymore. She's thriving, one brave, beautiful step at a time.